What's up? What's happening? Welcome into Foxborough Rush. You see it right there on the screen. If you guys are listening to it, Stefon Diggs.
Waving.
At voluntary, keyword voluntary OTAs for the Patriots today on Monday as we're recording this pod. He was there waving to the media. Hey guys, how y'all doing? Video posted by Mike Reese. This is big. What a week for Stefon Diggs. A week ago, passing out some 2C on a boat with girls twerking. Following Monday in New England. At voluntary OTAs, showing up and committed to the team, man.
Why'd you have to be so descriptive?
He's passing out Tusi. He allegedly. He's passing out.
He was on the love boat. You had to go.
It wasn't a love boat. It was a Tusi boat, and it was a twerking boat. Was he on the boat with a lot of people twerking? Was he?
Yes.
Was he distributing something that looked like Tusi?
Yes.
Allegedly Tusi.
Yes.
All right.
Welcome to our new podcast, Tusi and Twerking. We're your hosts.
Look, man, I did not know that stuff existed. Anything pink?
Yeah.
The ways that would be ingested?
Yeah.
Like, I said it, I stopped taking pre-workout because it had, like, purple dye in it.
Yeah.
And I loved my pre-workout.
And you were jittery, though.
No, yes.
You were cracked out when you would take that pre-workout.
So you're going to give me a drug and it has dye on it? I'm good. He's Travis Thomas and George Balekji. This is Foxborough Rush.
I'm crying.
Everything you want Patriots. We got a great show for you guys. We'll be talking Stefon Diggs at OTAs. What Josh McDaniels had to say about him. Josh McDaniels' comments on Drake Maye. We'll get a little bit into the expectations and what Drake Maye will need to be successful in that offense. Then our guy from NESN.com, Sean McGuire, stops by the show. He caught up with Patriots draft pick Jared Wilson, his high school coach, the center of the future for the Patriots. Then we'll talk some fantasy football relevance with the Patriots and the receivers, and we'll get into a mailbag. Let's get started, T.
Okay.
Stefon Diggs at Patriots OTA. So here were his comments talking to the media, saying it's a voluntary part of the year. I don't know if we've ever had perfect attendance. As a coach, selfishly, you'd love it when they're all here because you feel like you've got them all in the classroom and on the field and the rest of it. He, as in Stefon Diggs, is here today, and we're excited to have an opportunity to work with the guys that are out here and available to us. Hey, right or wrong, Stefon Diggs last week was wrong. And again, where I say he's wrong is that he wasn't smarter, just have no cameras on the boat.
Yeah, have self-awareness.
It's voluntary.
Yes.
You're all right. The self-awareness.
Yes.
Following week, he's here at OTAs.
Yeah.
And I think that's something big for him. And definitely, I would assume something that Mike Vrabel instructed to him. We need the commitment for you from the team.
I'm going to give you credit here because you were ahead of this in saying that you didn't believe there was anything the team could do from a disciplinarian sense with Stefon Diggs. No charges were filed. You can't prove what was in the pink bag anyway, although we're speculating. You can't this, you can't that. No laws were broken. Okay. You can't suspend him. I felt as though they should fine him, but there are bylaws within the NFLPA. You can't even necessarily do that. So I'm like, I don't really know, other than getting cussed out by Mike Vrabel, which we are sure happened, what can you really do? And you said, this is going to blow over eventually. You know, right now it's hot, of course, and you brought him in to be the leader. He certainly doesn't look that right now, but as time goes on and you are further removed from this incident, assuming no more incidents, he'll be just fine. And it looks like you're going to be right. Yeah,
if he's committed to the team. So here's the big part. I want to throw it to it. Scott Zolak on Zolak and Bertrand, on the Sports Hub 98.5. He did share that what he's hearing about Stefon Diggs and a release is not out of question. Here it is right here.
I came to this show yesterday with the but the knowledge of that it is on the table, that it is being thought of. And it's not just the boat. It's not just the boat. There's some other things that I've heard. That's all. That puts some things in question. Are you all in? Are you all in here?
So that was last week on Zolak and Bertrand on the Sports Hub. Are you all in? It's not just the boat. Hey, first step on showing you're all in, showing up to keyword voluntary OTAs.
I don't think he's going to get cut. And I'm curious to know what you think. I almost think the window of opportunity has passed for that. If the Patriots were reactionary, truly, it would have happened right after this incident. The second Mike Vrabel took questions, remember, at OTAs, and he's like, hey, you know, I don't know anything outside of what we all have seen on video right now. We're worried about the guys here. I remember that famous quote that we've talked about. We want all of our players on and off the field to make the right decisions and represent the Patriots. If you were going to cut a Stefon Diggs, release him, whatever the verbiage is, you should have did it then. That would have been the moment. Today, he's out. He's waving. I'm back. I'm locked in.
Yeah.
Not to say they still can't. There's a window of time contractually. I understand that. But I think if you were going to make an example to your football team, your young, impressionable football team, with young guys all over the field, including left tackle and including your star young quarterback, okay?
Yeah.
You should have made that example already. I don't think now is the time. I am, however, convinced that the damage is done. This is where we disagree. I do believe Stefon Diggs, a leader, is over. I don't think any of these young guys are looking. Now, when you pay him and you bring him in, sure. They're like, oh, this guy, you know, some of these young guys are like, I've watched him all the way back going to Minnesota and his whole career. Well, now you've seen enough to say, who's he leading? I ain't following him, right?
Yeah.
Not to say he's not a good teammate. Not to say he can't be productive in this offense, George. But the leadership, Stefon Diggs, the veteran leader, in which you paid him. There were a couple comments in some of our videos on social media of some of the fans saying, well, whoever said he's a leader? No one ever said that. You paid him.
You make
such.
that decision,
What do you mean?
Yes.
So I think that's over. I think these young players looking at a Stefon Diggs now, hey, man, just help us win. No one's going to follow this guy into the fire. And I know we disagree because you think as time passes, it'll be just fine.
He can earn that,
Yes. I don't. I think it's over as a leader.
Yeah. But as a guy that can lead by example, right?
Production.
Yes.
Production is
show
a
them the work,
thing.
and like that's where the leading can be. Again, like Stefon Diggs is not. Let's start with like skipping OTAs, and then let's get along to partying down in Miami on a boat.
Okay.
He's not the first nor last guy to do that. He's not the first nor last guy to have a good time.
Right.
Again, voluntary OTAs.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys that got caught on camera, and like that's where the issue is of not being aware enough. Second you see that camera, grab it, throw it in the water.
Absolutely.
I don't care. The other video, like everyone twerking, dancing, and he's on the boat, like I don't care. You could clearly tell it's him. It's putting yourself in a situation where something that looks like a drug, like you're in that. Grab the camera, throw it out.
Yep.
Get locked in for the season, showing up to OTAs, that's the first step. You bring up the comments. I want to go to some of those on Instagram.
Okay.
One was from Cody Marrow. Couldn't care less as a Pats fan. Season hasn't started yet. Let him do his thing. Yes, let him do his thing. But be smarter. That's the thing. I get it. The season hasn't started. It's voluntary OTAs. And for the people that have the issue of, well, the issue is that he should be with the team. He should be rehabbing. He should be leading. This guy's not going to rehab his ACL 24/7. I'm sure he was doing it the morning of before the boat, maybe the day before.
Needed
That's a work day and off day.
Yeah.
He was hanging on the boat. He didn't look inebriated or anything by any means. Like he looked perfectly fine. My issue was not being smart enough, and that's where you have to lead by example. Get rid of the phones. It's just simple. It's simple. Show that maturity and awareness.
I think you're locked into the Love Boat. It's not necessarily just that, George. It's look, even this weekend, it continued. He's posting, hey, you know, I gotta stay focused. Stay focused. This is you focused. Cardi B posting. They got videos. It's a lot going on, and it's just showing a lack of self-awareness. Ultimately, I blame the Patriots. I told everyone here, right here on Foxborough Rush, when they signed Stefon Diggs, that was too much money. Put this guy on a prove-it deal. Make him ensure he's on his best behavior.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even talking to Love Boat at that time.
Right.
I was talking more of the diva wide receiver
on the sidelines
antics that we have already seen with this guy from not one but two different places in Minnesota and Buffalo. Now, in Houston, he didn't do it, but his role in Houston was different. He was brought in there to help get them over the hump. That's what it was. They had weapons all over the field. C.J. Stroud in year 2, I believe it was. D'Amico Ryan. So it was like, bring in this veteran guy who can help us get to a Super Bowl. He got hurt. Okay, no knock on that. But New England throws a bag at this guy who I don't even think would have a robust market for his services to begin with. We talked 4 or 5 wide receivers who we thought would be available in free agency or via trade. His name never came up. And then to go out and give him that kind of contract, 69 mil, 20-something
26 guaranteed. That's nothing.
Well, it is something because you're paying him like the number one wide receiver, and because he's a veteran and your wide receiver room sucks, that tells me you want him to come in and mold your young guy.
Oh, 100%.
I think that was a mistake.
And to help develop
from the beginning.
And to help develop Drake Maye.
That's right. That's right.
To be that guy that can get open against the zone, allow Kyle Williams to be the downfield receiver.
That's right.
Another comment. This one was my favorite by far. 904 Richardson. Right. The issue isn't that he possessed and distributed the illegal drug, what we think is the illegal drug.
Yeah.
It's that he did it on camera. Quit shaping moral principles around race and income. Some things are absolute. And he should be charged with RICO and drug trafficking. First off, you don't know what RICO is. Second off, and this was my reply comment, what church choir do you sing for? Because that is the lamest comment ever. Like, get over yourself.
Get off your high horse, right?
Relax. That is just, you deserve to get dragged for that comment. From another one, Mass One John. Forgot all you guys are cops and know what was in there. Shut up and let the guy live. Us. Letting the guy live. You not watching the video and hearing us say let him live.
That's right.
These were entertaining comments. Some of these were. I'd like to say that.
I mean, hey, man, as long as we're getting the numbers, that's all that matters to us. The views are there. You guys show us love. We appreciate it.
Give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to Nesson's YouTube channel. Leave comments as well. All right, so but on the last part of that. It isn't a way to prove it deal. There are off-season workout bonuses. You could get $200K for hitting a certain amount of OTA workouts. There are bonuses that he hits when he gets to 70, 80, 90, 100 catches, playoff wins, Pro Bowl incentives. So in a way, it is a prove it deal. But you are right that when they pay him, and it's what I expect of him, for him to be the leader. Because what's important, I like Kendrick Bourne. I really don't know if he is on this roster at the end of the season. He could be a trade deadline guy. They move to get more assets. He's going to be 30 this upcoming season, but he performs well in Josh McDaniels' system. Kendrick Bourne called out this wide receiving room last season in London. I don't know if it resonated. I really don't think it did because Polk and Baker didn't show up. Stefon Diggs is that guy that can lead by example and say, look, I was a 5th-round pick. You guys think you got something because you were taken in the 2nd round talking to Jalen Polk here? Like, you don't. That's on Diggs to do. Lead by example, show him going from a 5th-round pick to being a guy that got max contracts essentially in a wide receiver 1 and to help out Drake Maye's development. He's also instrumental for the scheme. Going to be that underneath guy, that slot. Good route runner, good to get open against zone. It allows Kyle Williams to be him and be a deep downfield receiver. He's instrumental for this. Why you bring in Mike Vrabel is to make guys like Stefon Diggs work. This is big on Vrabel. It's beyond the discipline, but now making him work. I don't think... Are you bought in? And that is something where they'll trade him or find a way. The cut is not off the table. Also, the two ends of this, too. Zolak puts this out, and I'm not disregarding what he knows and who he's informed by, but also that's another angle play from the Patriots publicly to put it out there. Stefon Diggs, you're not safe, bro. You still got to earn it.
Everything's on the table.
Exactly.
Yeah, listen, just to go back to the prove-it deal thing, what you're speaking of is a prove-it deal laced with incentives. So you're basically, that prove-it deal is to grow your bag that you already got. That's what you're kind of illustrating. What I'm saying is a prove-it deal to even earn a bag in the first place. I am convinced that Stefon Diggs, outside of New England, would have got veteran minimum type of contract offers. New England, because they are desperate for anything with a pulse at wide receiver right now, threw him that money. So there are incentives there where he can get more, but it's getting more. That was my whole point. Don't give it to him up front. You brought up Kendrick Bourne calling out the team. That at least was in private, and it didn't resonate.
Well, he did at the podium.
Oh, he did?
After the game in London.
Okay, because I was going to say...
He was like, guys, curfew, diet,
I
partying.
don't have faith that Stefon Diggs won't do it on a sideline. Does that make sense? I've seen him do that before. The last thing I want is any type of Stefon Diggs getting in Drake Maye's face or ear the way he used to Josh Allen. And that's Josh Allen. So, I never loved this signing to begin with. It's off to a bumpy start. We'll see. To George's point, there is time to smooth this out. Maybe it's just turbulence here in the beginning, but I have zero faith, George. Zero.
This signing, in a way, I'm fine with it because they went for Chris Godwin. He decided
They tried.
T. Higgins didn't hit the open market. DK Metcalf
didn't want to
end up here. I don't think they didn't want him. They could have offered a third. They could have paid him more money. They didn't want DK Metcalf. Darius Slayton stayed with the Giants, and if they signed him, wouldn't have been as big as a Stefon Diggs. I like the signing because they would have gotten nobody if they didn't get Diggs.
That's right.
You got to get somebody. You got to upgrade the wide receiver room.
Well, you could have drafted,
and help Drake Maye develop. They did, and they did. They took a Kyle Williams. Again, how the board fell. They were going Will Campbell.
Yes.
At 38, at that point, I wanted a receiver. Jaden Higgins, I think, was gone by 38. Yes, he did. He went 35.
You could have went up and got him.
Yeah.
That's your guy, right?
No, they could have.
Right.
But they went Travion Henderson again, and then they eventually got Kyle Williams.
Right.
Like they hit on where they had to, like how the board played. Mm-hmm. It's the beginning of June.
Pickens
not giving up on Diggs.
We didn't bring up Pickens. Pickens is another one. But,
did not want him anywhere
but
near
we're
this
talking
locker room.
character with Diggs.
Yes, do not want George Pickens. Let's talk Drake Maye quick. So Josh McDaniels had comments on him. I loved this. He was saying, he's very smart, works really hard. We either make a good play or learn from the result. Sometimes negative results can actually be your best teachers. I think that last part is fantastic. After Drake Maye had that one practice where he threw 4 interceptions, people out there was acting like the sky was falling. Failure right now is important.
Yes.
Drake Maye's picking up the system. And as he says, he's very smart, works really hard. Josh McDaniels, he won't just throw out praise. That's him backing up his QB. This is the most important relationship, McDaniels and Drake Maye, for the success of this football team.
Who do you think was happier to see Stefon Diggs, Drake Maye or Josh McDaniels?
Drake Maye. I think Josh McDaniels can make work without a Stefon Diggs. I'm excited to see what Josh McDaniels does with a Kyle Williams. Think about when Randy Moss was in New England, that was Tom Brady's career high in air yards per attempt.
Yeah.
When Devontae Adams got to Vegas, that was, again, career high in air yards per attempt for Derek Carr, with Josh McDaniels being the play caller, either OC or head coach at that point.
Yeah.
Kyle Williams, I think Josh McDaniels and Drake Maye are very excited about. For Stefon Diggs, I think Drake Maye is more excited about that. But Josh will take him. I mean, he's a smart receiver, knows how to get open. He's a man beater.
It's his system. McDaniels has a system in place, whereas, to your point, Drake Maye, when Shaq hits a fan and he needs a big play, he can find Diggs. It makes a lot of sense.
Chain mover, too.
Chain mover.
Which they need. They need man beaters, chain movers.
I am curious to see what Stefon Diggs, coming off this injury, looks like now. Every year his production goes down a little bit more, which is natural because he's aging, right? We get it. But I want to see how he's utilized in this offense, because if he's your deep threat, you're in trouble. But we all believe that's Kyle Williams, right? Yeah, I mean, to your point, he should be a chain mover. He should be someone who's a polished route runner, sure hands, I'm just throwing this out there, 3rd and 7, I'm going to Stefon Diggs.
Yeah, you get to 8.
Yeah, and we'll see.
They had guys last year that it would be 3rd and 5, and they'd go 3.5 yards.
That's right. Yeah.
Like, the guy's smart enough to do that, knows how to beat zone, and just smart.
And make the catch, toe tap if you got to, whatever it is.
Here's another one from Josh McDaniels. Quote, I think he's doing a really good job of digesting the information, processing the corrections when there is a correction to be made, and go out there with a great attitude and mindset the next day. Really good at digesting the information, processing the corrections, and making the correction. I think the most important parts for Drake Maye for this system is understanding the verbiage and language, understanding pre-snap, the reads, and understanding option routes. Josh McDaniels does a great job of curtailing his system to the guys he has. Again, pointing out what Randy Moss did for Tom Brady, what Devontae Adams did for Derek Carr, but also understands putting wide receivers in their spots to succeed. It's still a complex system. If you can pick up Josh McDaniels' system as a receiver, you're going to be fine. And if you're a quarterback like Drake Maye, you're going to be fine. What I'm excited to see with Drake Maye is how does Josh McDaniels implement his legs? And we know with Tom Brady, it was quick, pre-snap reads. He had you beat before the ball was snapped. He knew he was going to go with it in 2.5 seconds. But Drake Maye, better deep arm, more down the field thrower.
Better athletic.
Definitely, 1,000% more athletic than Tom Brady. It is I'm not going to say dink and dunk, but short yardage, kill you with paper cuts, right? And then that sets up the deep shot. Can Drake Maye be patient? And can he grasp the system? And I think he can do both.
I think he can too. The fact even we're talking about, and we heard Josh McDaniels' quotes there, it goes to show you that Drake Maye has already put in the work. I'm not saying he can't have more, but I mean, pre-snap, that's stuff you can study on tape. I mean, the things you were talking about, studying the verbiage, the language, that's something you can learn before you go to the field. So if McDaniels is telling you, I'm impressed with where he is now, that means the kid himself has been putting in the work. Now it's what Julian Edelman was talking about last week here on Foxborough Rush. Time on task, reps. Then it all comes together. So I'm excited to see Drake Maye. You and I talked about this. if Drake Maye can I'm not as ambitious to think top 10, but if Drake Maye can figure out a way to sort of finesse his way into the top 15, maybe back in, call it 13, 14, 15 range of quarterbacks in this league, watch out. It could be a special season for the Patriots. You could be sniffing some wild card bursts there. Let's
put it, I like that idea. To our producer, Brendan, does a great job.
You could.
Hey, when we get dog days in the summer, we're going to need content. Yes.
Let's now,
preseason rank the quarterback. No, we can do it now.
But we can do where we want him.
I want to do it now. I want to do it middle of the summer, and I want to do it preseason and middle of the season. Why not? And then we compare our rankings every day.
Dog days.
Wake up. I'm like, I'm thinking
training camp, we need you, man.
I think Drake May's 9th best today. Next day, I think he's 16th.
Oh, my God. A training camp, we need you in the worst way.
If you get average play from Drake Maye that's good, I expect more. Top
10, you're saying?
Yes.
Sheesh.
We'll get to the rankings. Before we get to that, though, we're talking about the system. Who's going to be playing center for the Patriots when it comes to week 1?
Yeah.
Could be Jared Wilson. Hear from Sean McGuire, who dug deep on Jared Wilson's development, history, going back to his high school days. Coming up after the break, right here on Foxborough Rush. Welcome back to Foxborough Rush. George Balekji, Travis Thomas with our guy, Sean McGuire. S-Mac, what's up, brother?
How are you, George? How are you, Travis?
Good.
I'm doing well today.
Love that guy.
Doing good. Excited to have you on. We'll talk some Jared Wilson, center of the future for the Patriots. Sean, I also finally got your high school scouting report. We'll get to that later in the segment.
All right.
You spoke with Adrian Snow, Jared Wilson's high school football coach. Before we get to some bites, what did you learn? I always like to start it with this. What did you find out about Jared Wilson? We know his IQ, his athleticism, the character. But what else did you find out about Jared Wilson from talking to his high school coach?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing was just kind of his start in football. So Jared Wilson, he was playing midfield on the soccer pitch.
What?
He was a light-footed big man. Adrian Snow said that it looked like he ran on pillows on the basketball court. But up until high school, he had never played football. So Jared Wilson they're going to an open house, and Jared Wilson's with his mom, and Coach Snow sees him walk in. He's standing, 6'4", 325 practically. And obviously stood out to a football coach. Adrian Snow's quote was that he was a football coach's dream pretty much from the first moment he saw him. So Jared Wilson and his mom go up to the football coach, say, he's going to play football this year. And Adrian Snow, as any football coach would be, was elated. So, you have this behemoth of a boy is how I described him. And it was just, you could see the potential very quick. He was running sprints with running backs and wide receivers because of how quickly he embarrassed the offensive linemen. He was running backs and receivers were better competition. Obviously, now having seen the 4.84 40-yard dash that he ran at the NFL Combine, probably not a huge surprise. And then there was something I just wanted to learn like a little bit of like the athleticism, because obviously the Combine, the numbers he put up, but hearing some of the high school stories. And those behind the scenes sorts of things about his athleticism, and that story I just shared about him running sprints with running backs and wide receivers was one of them. Hearing some stories about how he was young, so he didn't know how to weightlift, but then once they got him in the weightlift, and once they got him in the in the room, no surprise, he was setting program records and everything. But the funny thing too is that, at least according to Coach Snow, the best example, or the example that kind of sticks out to him when he thinks about Jared's athleticism, was actually on the basketball court. And it was his freshman year. He was in a gym class. Coach Snow was a teacher at the school at the time. And Jared, again, standing 6'4", 325 pounds, went up and dunked. Coach Snow didn't get it on video. And at the time he knew, if I get this on video, this is going to help the kid in his recruitment. So he said, do it again. He said, I'll give you a chicken biscuit in the morning if you get up and if you're able to do it again. Jared Wilson did it again. Chicken biscuit. Jared Wilson did it again. He sent the video. He captured the video, sent it to everyone he knew, all the college coaches he knew. And it wasn't long after that the recruitment really started rolling in. So Georgia offered him, it was November 2019. He went up for a visit. He was there for 10 or 15 minutes, and Georgia already knew that he was going to be offered at the time.
Wow.
And the quote that Coach Snow gave me was that recruiters are like high school boys. You tell them you like old girl and everyone else goes, well, you know what? I like her too. And so Georgia offers him, and the offers just start rolling in from there. And he ended up with 15 offers. He considered North Carolina. North Carolina State was among them, Alabama, Auburn, Arkansas. List goes on and on.
Florida State, UNC. I'm looking at his 24/7.
He obviously
profile.
made the right choice. Honestly, Esmeezy, between that quote and the chicken biscuits, I don't even know where to go at this point. But I will just share the thoughts that are in my mind. It's so funny in life, perspective, because this coach is talking about, well, he played midfielder at soccer, and then I saw him on the basketball court. All I can think about is going back to me in high school, playing sports or trying to. I can't imagine being on the soccer pitch and seeing this big joker coming at you full speed. What are you supposed to do? Or on the basketball court, he's boxing out for a rebound. What the hell are you going to do? You're not going to get that rebound. So he ends up in football. I have to imagine this coach thinks now that he's with the Patriots, it's going to translate. I mean, what are the expectations here? Is this coach saying he thinks ultimately this guy's going to be the starter, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Adrian Snow didn't give me that exactly. I mean, it's certainly clear that he's not surprised that Jared Wilson was drafted, in the third round, and he's certainly not surprised that Jared Wilson had such success at Georgia. He played left tackle when he was in high school, which again, 6'4", 325, probably not a huge surprise.
Yeah.
But coach was saying at the time, he's like, we knew he wasn't going to play left tackle at Georgia or after that, just because he didn't have the height. But we needed a left tackle. We had someone who could snap. But he was even saying, at the time they saw him. They could see how well he snapped. They could see how smart he was when it came to protections and those sorts of things. So Adrian Snow, actually expected Jared to move inside and play center at the next level when it got to Georgia. And that's what he did. So, I think the expectations are high for sure.
So let's get to his first bite from Adrian Snow. Here is him talking about Jared Wilson's athleticism. I'm excited to hear about the guy with chicken biscuits and making some dating metaphors. Yeah. So here's Adrian Snow talking about Jared Wilson's athleticism.
He was like a football coach's dream. I mean, he ran well, he moved, he was athletic. He looked like he was running on pillows. I mean, his feet were amazing. I used to tell people I've never coached an NFL offensive line until him. So I wasn't real sure what one would look like. But if I had to picture what I think one would look like, it would be Jared Wilson. And the crazy thing about this, it's come true. Nobody wanted to running with him. I mean, now we got some running backs that faster than him, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But a lot we would have to make him run with those kill guys because the lineman, he was just different. He smoked everybody. I mean, just the way it worked. He's unbelievable athlete. He's just crazy. That's why he's with the Patriots. And he is special. He was special. And you knew it early. But the biggest thing, we had to kind of get him to understand to let it go.
Yeah.
To unleash his ability. He was naturally strong. He was naturally an unbelievably gifted athlete.
I need to go fishing and have beers with Coach Adrian Snow.
Yes.
That man was gushing talking about. I love his energy.
He sounds like a high school coach, doesn't he, George?
Sounds like someone from South Carolina that's an offensive line coach.
Yeah.
And I think the excitement he has for him. I mean, that's what I love that.
No, yeah, he was fantastic. I wish, I could have, this story could have been 5,000 words if I got in every good quote that I had from him. But yeah, he was great and just, gave a lot of insight when it came to off the field sort of stuff as well. And I think that's definitely worth something. And, we've talked about it a lot, of these Patriots draftees and, their rookie class. And, it's something they targeted, those sorts of culture building guys. And a lot of the insight that Adrian Snow gave certainly, kind of references that.
Now, here's another one. We'll get to this one from Adrian Snow. Here's him talking about Jared Wilson's character. Check it out right here.
He is an offensive lineman. He's a protector. We did not have a COVID fall that year. That fall, they would not let us play.
Yeah.
They moved the season to the spring. So I called him in. And I said, Jared, if you decide to go to Georgia early, I love you. If you decide to stay at West Side, I'm gonna still love you. It does. You have to do we're uncharted waters. So he had to take care of himself, and I understood that. He looked me in the eye, and he said, "Coach, I'm gonna stay and play with my buddies." And he stayed and played that spring. There is a video out there of me, because it was the first game back, giving a pregame speech, and I literally was about him.
Yeah.
I said, "Guys, listen, he wanted to play with you. He stayed to play with you." And that's the kind of guy he is. I mean, he's special. He's special athletically, but he's special as a person.
Hey, good for him. I mean, at high school, especially dealing with the COVID, not knowing anything.
Yes.
To me, the easy decision would be to go to Georgia, start working out the early enrollment, learn the playbook. He want to stay and play one more high school season with his friends.
Yep.
The risk, too, obviously, is an injury and all that goes into it. Again, high character guy, you hear about it. It's cool to hear the grassroots stories. And that's one right there, Sean.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. And he was, Adrian Snow also kind of gave me another one too about when he was talking about Georgia. And so Jared Wilson, he didn't start, he didn't play until his final season, until the 2024 season. He saw a decent amount of time the year prior as a, coming off the bench as a reserve, but he didn't start. And he had the opportunity to, like all these college kids do now, he had the opportunity to go elsewhere. There was at one time, like I said, he was kind of thinking about going playing for North Carolina, which, kind of fun fact, he would have been snapping a Drake Maye at the time if he did that. He ended up, fulfilling his commitment to Georgia and stayed there. But Coach Snow, he mentioned that, and he's like, a lot of these college kids, the NFL, the NIL it's like I quit at this point. And, Jared he didn't do that. He stayed the course. He remained at Georgia and he got his chances final in the 2024 season and he made the most of it. I mean, didn't give up a sack and just, again, a third round pick. So he obviously did a lot of good things that have, now translated into him getting into the NFL. So, but it was like one of those stories that kind of make you think like, team first sort of guy and culture builder sort of guy. And, again, as we've said throughout the offseason, that's certainly what the Patriots need. And I think that kind of sticks out when you're talking about Jared Wilson as well.
All right, Esmizzle. I mean, listen, you said he's a team kind of guy. I know he hasn't done it on the NFL level, but it sounds like going all the way back to high school, this guy has shown you he can play up and down an offensive line. Is he just a center for the Patriots, you think? Or could we see him at guard potentially at some point if need be? Or do you think he'll just be a center?
I would expect that he is just a center,
okay.
But Elliott Wolf on draft night, he came out and he did say that there is some guard center flexibility. He's obviously not playing left tackle like he did in high school,
right?
Or playing on the edge, but I think there is some guard center flexibility. And you talk about left guard specifically when it comes to the Patriots. It's there's a lot of bodies kind of mixing and matching at that left guard spot. So we'll see if Jared Wilson is one of those bodies. But I do think it's fair to say, I would expect him to challenge Garrett Bradbury for the starting center spot and potentially win that spot after camp.
It's also, he was asked about playing guard potentially, and his response was, I'll do whatever they want me to play. I'll play wherever they want me to do. Mm-hmm. Sean, great job grabbing all that. You can check out the full story at NESN.com. Sean, don't want you going anywhere yet. We see Stefon Diggs return to OTAs voluntarily today. What do you make of the whole situation when you read it too? Following the team, a guy that talks with the team and covers it day-to-day, practice, all that. Last week, twerking, 2C everywhere, missing voluntary OTAs. This week, now with the team showing that commitment. And in between that, sandwiched in the middle were the whispers, the rumors, the reports coming from Scott Zolak that, hey, cutting him is on the table. That's not a possibility.
Right.
What do you make of Stefon Diggs now being with the team today at OTAs, but also going back last week, the whole saga, I guess you would say?
Yeah, I don't think it's a good look by any means. I'm not trying to say that, but I think to some extent it probably has been blown out of proportion a little bit. I don't think that they should cut him. I don't think they should release him. I think the conversation, it's certainly a conversation that he has to have with Mike Vrabel, and they kind of have to figure this out. What was going on, and how do we ensure it doesn't happen again? But I'm not of the camp that thinks they should release him or they should cut him at this point. I think it's kind of where you're at in the position group. Like you need these talented guys. And at the time I said it was worth the risk. I think I said it was worth the risk more so based on injury and on field than I meant like off field. But again, I think it all kind of comes into the same bucket. And the room is not strong, so I think you need to keep the strongest player in the room.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to boil it down. All right, now, Sean, I'll end with this. Got your high school scouting report, all these high school coaches you talk to. I have sources out in the Connecticut prep scene. Sean is a gritty and hard-nosed. Sean is a gritty, fair, and hard-nosed forward on public school, too. He's always ready to get to work and bring his lunch pail. From diving on the floor for loose balls to taking charges, he can do it all. Hey. Willing to do the little and big things to ensure the team wins. The ultimate glue guy and someone every team needs.
Let's go.
Verbatim what I got.
I think I know who that came from, and I appreciate it if it was. I'm glad he brought up the amount of charges that I took, because I was certainly taking more of those than points I was being,
what was the points per
scoring.
game average, like 1.8?
Yeah, I might have got maybe closer to 3.5.
Okay.
But
all right.
certainly more fouls per game than points per game. I think is a fair representation.
Bro, I had no idea Sean McGuire was Bill Lambier when he was younger. This is fantastic.
Yeah, had a lot of success at Enfield High those days. Not to brag, but 3 straight conference championships.
Yeah.
Went to the state Final Four. Went to the state Final Four my senior year, the last public school to be there. We were there with all the big dog private schools, and we got beat, but we were still standing.
Y'all had heart, though. Y'all had heart.
That's right.
I tried looking up your Max Preps profile, but I'm getting a Sean McGuire at Seymour High School.
That ain't him. That ain't
him. I'm probably not even on Max Preps.
You're out with Sean McGuire. Sean, appreciate all the work you're doing. Thanks for hopping on Foxborough Rush, my man. We'll see you sometime soon, brother.
Appreciate you guys. All
right, we'll take a quick break on Foxborough Rush. When we're back, we'll get into some fun fantasy football talk about the Patriots wide receivers. We'll be right back on Foxborough Rush. What's up? Welcome back to Foxborough Rush. Travis Thomas, Georgia Balekji. All right, so we talked plenty about the Patriots wide receiver. Tusi and twerking behind him.
Yes.
Fantasy football is going to roll around.
Yes.
Stefon Diggs, I'm curious what his actual ADP is. I'm not going to get into the roots, but let's talk about playmakers for the Patriots offense. What do we think of the fantasy football relevance will be for them? Stefon Diggs, there's going to be a market for him. I mean, that's an 8th, 9th round pick. That's a guy that could be a wide receiver 3 or a flex play. Could be the guy week to week. Was on track and doing well with the why? You just give a look sometimes. For those listening, Travis giving a look. What's a look?
You know me well, right?
Yes.
There are 3 Patriots I'd consider drafting on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
Do you think any one of them come from the wide receiver position, the way you know me?
No. It'll be Drake Maye, Trevion Henderson,
2.
Hunter Henry.
You're missing 1, but yes. 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Austin Hooper?
I threw in Ramondre because I don't know who's who.
Oh, okay, fair.
And also I'm a handcuff.
It's a good handcuff.
I'm a handcuff guy. So no. 0. Stefon Diggs. Who else you got? Bourne, Pop. No. Not no. Hell no.
I think that Stefon Diggs has a play. I like you bring up Kendrick Bourne. His last season in this Josh McDaniels system, 800 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns, both career highs. Now, he was 26.
He was younger.
He's about to be 30 years old.
Yeah.
But ACL tear behind him.
Yeah.
And I think Stefon Diggs being the underneath receiver, Kyle Williams being the guy that takes the top off of defense. Kyle Williams is someone I want in this offense, too. And I think that's a long play as well. But Kendrick Bourne, run blocks, knows Josh McDaniels' system, is a professional. I don't know what you get with Jalen Polk or Javon Baker. I really don't know if Pop Douglas sees a field that much. You have to run block if Josh McDaniels will put you on the field.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Pop at his size is capable of that consistently.
Because he was the only guy that showed up for them last year.
I think Kendrick Bourne is the last few rounds of the draft.
Yeah.
You could end up taking him and he could be paying off. Drake Maye obviously is in play.
Yeah.
I would draft him. Hunter Henry's his security blanket. Trevion Henderson has a home run hitting ability.
Boy.
But there are guys that I understand your vision, the guys I would go after. Maye, Henderson, Stevenson. If he can keep the fumbles down, Ramondre Stevenson will be in a better place. But I wouldn't write off a Stefon Diggs or a Pop Douglas.
I can't do it. Kyle Williams would probably be someone, and we've all been here, we're talking fantasy football here, where all your guys are on a bye and you are just desperate. And you're like, let me go to this stupid waiver wire and see who's available. More than likely, a Stefon Diggs is not available. He's on a roster. A Kyle Williams is someone who, in case of emergency, I would break glass. And I would say, you know what, for a flex this week, going against who the hell ever, I'll take him because of that home run hitting ability that you mentioned. Kyle Williams can take the top off of defense. Maybe I get lucky and start this guy, and Drake Maye dials him up. But that is the only way. I might even name my team something around the Patriots' lack of playmakers on the outside. I may. Because, I mean, none of these guys, I'm not interested in any of them. Stefon Diggs, I mean, bro, what am I going to do? Take him, stash him on my bench, and then what? In 3 weeks he's suspended for the next incident? No. I want no parts of it.
Someone has to catch passes in this offense.
Someone has to.
And it's going to be Kyle Williams or Stefon Diggs.
Fair.
Those are going to be the guys. And that's the way I look at it.
You're right about that.
And again, if I'm talking flex wide receiver too. If you're in a 3 wide receiver league, then they can pay off. It all depends on your roster size and all that.
Sure.
Drake Maye's a priority. Trevion Henderson is there. But again, that's a guy that could be home run reliant, touchdown reliant. I don't know how many touches he's going to get a game. There's fantasy relevance, and then there's football relevance. Some guys are both. I think with this offense, it'll be tough to find both. But the ones that I think are fantasy relevant, Drake Maye, Kyle Williams. Those are my priority guys.
Drake Maye could be a fantasy gem if we get what we want from Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
Which is not saying no one's calling for this guy to be Lamar Jackson, but we both are calling for Drake Maye to move a little bit more, get him on the run. Design movement. Doesn't even have to be runs necessarily designed, I'm saying. Just get him moving. Get him on bootlegs. Get him out in the open a little bit. Drake Maye's going to tuck a couple of these and get a wiggle on you, get the juking on you, and get some big runs with his legs.
I like that wiggle. You guys still got it.
Yeah, but like...
He'll run for 600 yards, throw for 3,000.
Great. That will help in the fantasy world. That's what I'm saying. He'll give you that extra
Get 35 touchdowns out of him total on the year.
That's right.
This is a guy, too, that you combine him with the Josh McDaniels. This is a team that will be competitive and be in games. The big thing we're not talking about, you're going to kill me with this. How does the offensive line play, though? That's the wild card if you approach anyone fantasy relevant for the Patriots.
Sure.
If Ramondre Stevenson is still getting hit 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage every time he touches a ball,
good point.
He's fantasy irrelevant.
Yeah.
If Drake Maye can't stay upright and can't get settled in and execute in the system because of the offensive line, like, who's a left tackle?
Yeah.
It's Will Campbell. How does Will Campbell play a left tackle? That's what's big for this team, Trev.
I think that's well said. I will also do this, too. I know we're talking Patriots, but it's just top of mind, and I have to say it. I actually think the Jets are another team, fantasy-wise, I have my eye on. You and I have talked about roster a ton with that team. I think Justin Fields, as we talk about Drake Maye, dual threat, Justin Fields is probably a quarterback, I'll have my eye on in terms of fantasy for the same reasons as Drake Maye. I think Justin Fields is going to be a dual threat guy on that team. That roster's ready to go, as you've been saying for a couple years.
Yeah.
And they've been waiting on Aaron Rodgers to sober up and the shrooms to wear off, and it never happened. He went back into the woods. Who saw that coming? Except, well, me. But, because you were all over Aaron Rodgers. But that's another topic for another day.
I had to take a shot at 7:30
Yeah, we've already done. We've already done
Johnny Walker Black.
But I do think, I think Justin Fields and Drake Maye both will be two quarterbacks I have my eye on because of the dual threat potential there for them.
What do you think Aaron Rodgers thought
He's doing right now?
of the 2C video?
I don't think he's aware. I don't think he's aware. I think Aaron Rodgers is in his head so smarter than the rest of us.
That is
so
how he
above
thinks.
He doesn't even know about that video. He has no idea. Stefon Diggs do what? Oh, that's cool. Hey, I'm going back to the woods. Like he's
going back into the darkness.
Yeah, like he's a loser. He is.
The one, again, that's also a wild card in this, Demario Douglas, to your point, separated, got run.
Yeah.
I think the Patriots offensive side of Drake Maye are going to get a lot of value when it comes to fantasy football.
Okay.
Later draft picks can pay off in a big way.
All right.
My fantasy draft I just completed, 30 rounds, took over a week.
Gee.
Second to last pick, I took Kendrick Bourne. And my thought was, someone's going to get cut, someone's not going to be playing, and someone has to catch the passes, and he's a guy that's familiar with Josh McDaniels. Kyle Williams went like 4 rounds before I thought he would, which credit to that guy. Go out and get your dude, especially in a dynasty draft like I did. Like, that's going to pay off. He's going to be a 1,200-yard receiver for the next 3 years. If it doesn't pay off now, I took Kendrick Bourne. What do I have to lose? Those are the picks you'll get with the Patriots outside of Drake May.
Here's another thing about Bourne that I like that you took him is Bourne's identity, pun intended, for the past however many years. He's always the trade bait.
Yeah.
He's always the guy whose name's being played. Oh, the Niners are interested. Remember a couple years ago, the Niners love Kendrick Bourne. So in your theory, you drafted him and stashed him.
Yeah.
Hey, he may get traded. Maybe Vrabel and the crew's the first one to go, get this guy out of here, and he goes somewhere else and maybe he has success. So yeah. I get it. But I wish you luck on your fantasy team because I can guarantee I ain't taking none of them. Not at wide receiver for this team. It ain't happening. It's not happening.
Take Kyle Williams.
None.
If he falls to, take him.
None.
All right, I told you so. What do you guys think? Leave us some comments. You need fantasy football team names. Oh, I have Omarion Hampton.
Yeah.
Team name, Omarion's coming.
See, I like
Omar
this.
from
like
The Wire.
Omar.
Omarion. I'll call him Omarion Hampton. Omarion's coming.
I respect it.
We'll take one more break. When we're back, we got a mailbag for you guys. Plenty of Kyle Pitts talk. Looking quick at the names. You don't read it until we do it. Javon Baker, Kendrick Bourne, too.
There it
coming
is.
up on Foxborough Run. Let's get into the mailbag. So Luke G3891 on trading for Kyle Pitts. He'd be Jono 2.0 in New England. Hard pass.
No. Kyle, look.
I'm going to breathe for a second.
Kyle, yeah, because you love
Jonnu
Kyle.
Smith couldn't run routes. Jonnu Smith couldn't track a ball that was midair. Jonnu Smith was athletic, but had to be set up for success.
He sucked.
Kyle Pitts has been underwhelming in Atlanta, but he's been misused. This is still a guy that was a 1,000-yard receiver his rookie season.
Yes.
Then he tore his MCL the next season, but came back and he's been fine. That's still 12 yards a catch.
Yeah.
Big body, outside, very athletic. Don't use him like a tight end.
That's right.
Jonnu Smith was misutilized in New England.
He sucked.
Josh McDaniels would use Kyle Pitts the right way.
Yeah, also,
but look at Jonnu in Miami. He's being used the right way.
Oh, I'm talking about New England.
You literally have to scheme him where to go exactly.
I'm just talking New England.
No, I get it.
It was a waste of time. Here's what I will say, though. I also think asking price matters. You're not going to have to give up a ton for Pitts. This isn't Kyle Pitts, a first-round pick, top 10. That's not what we're saying.
Number 4 overall pick.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's not the asking price here.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. When you say hard pass, are you asking me for a first or second rounder? Then I'm with you. But that's not the case here.
Yeah.
I am open to it. With the lack of playmakers on this offense, Kyle Pitts makes a lot of sense to me if I don't have to give up a lot to get him.
Yeah. Andre DY1 Poe.
What up, Dre?
Kyle Pitts is not worth anywhere close to a third anymore. Injury sapped his abilities. That'd be an awful use of a draft pick when he doesn't do anything better or different than Henry. There's a reason Atlanta is trying to trade their only tight end.
Yeah, they don't want to pay him.
He wants to get paid, which is ridiculous in a way.
Yeah.
But also, Atlanta's trying to reset. He doesn't do anything better or different than Henry. Yeah, he's not an inline tight end. Again, use him the right way. And also the injury sapped his abilities. That was his second year in the league. This will be his third season away from that torn MCL. He hasn't had any other major injury.
No.
He's fine. You trade a late day 2 or a day 3 pick for him, I would take him. He's better than Hunter Henry. He has higher upside as an offensive weapon, and he's still really young.
Yeah, nothing to add there. I mean, that's preposterous.
He'd be 25
I
this
am
season.
willing to have exactly. I mean, I would be willing to have the conversation, 3rd or 4th round pick for Kyle Pitts. I think that's fair. Anything, 1st, 2nd, forget it. One of my really good players, forget it. But I'm with you. With this guy's ceiling, if Atlanta's asking for a 3rd or 4th round pick, I think that's more than fair. I would have already given it up. We wouldn't even be talking about it here on Foxborough Rush. We'd be talking about how Josh McDaniels is going to use and utilize a Kyle Pitts. I don't know what the Patriots are waiting for here. I would go get the kid. What do you have to lose? You don't have any playmakers on the outside. Why not?
All right, so Louis Carvalho.
What up, Louis?
4759. Javon Baker is going to be a beast.
Oh, geez.
Mayo didn't give the kid a true chance. He didn't give himself a chance. If you're not active on game days, that's not a coach that was coaching for his job, mind you. It's not like they were winning 11 games. If you're not active on game days, you're not doing enough Monday through Saturday to get on the field and be active. Javon Baker didn't give Javon Baker a chance.
Javon Baker and Beast do not belong in the same breath. Next.
Jay Shinnie on moving on from Kendrick Bourne. If Kendrick Bourne was smart, he would already have his place packed up. It would already have called the moving company.
Who is this person?
Jay Shinnie.
Jay Shinnie. We peeps. I'm with you. Go ahead, George.
I wouldn't be that proactive.
I'm with
I was
Jay
Kendrick
Shenny.
Bourne. Like, guys can get cut.
I'll drive him out of town. Kendrick, I'll let your boy. I got you. I'll drive to you all, dog.
He is a guy that I think come trade deadline, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not on the roster end of the season. But that is a little aggressive.
Yeah, but we've been saying that about. That's why we talked about that
year.
last segment, I think. Every year with Kendrick Bourne, he's getting traded.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the regime that'll actually do it.
Trade a third-round pick for Kyle Pitts. No, Kendrick Bourne's not worth a third.
Kendrick Bourne ain't worth all that.
Jason Rivard, 701.
What up, Jay?
I'm not confident in Ramondre and his Butterfingers at all. Start the rookie. So he's talking about Trayvon Henderson. Look, I understand. Yes, he had a lot of fumbles, kept putting the ball on the ground. This offensive line is so much better if Morgan Moses is healthy.
Yes.
If Will Campbell works out at left tackle. And if they get consistent left guard play.
Yeah.
A lot of ifs around this offensive line.
Yeah.
And Morgan Moses, he did undergo offseason surgery. He had a partially torn MCL, I believe, is what he was dealing with. He played through it with the Jets. This offensive line needs to be healthy.
Yeah.
Will Campbell needs to perform.
Yes.
I'm not writing off Ramondre Stevenson.
I'm not either, but I'm with Jason at the same time. We just have to let Trayvon earn it if it's going to come to fruition. That's all. You can't just give him the starting job.
There's three guys in that backfield, and I think Trayvon Henderson's multiplicity and where he can align, his versatility.
Yes.
Runs good routes, can line up on the outside, can line up in the slot. It's a guy that's going to be all over the field. I would just not write off that. The touches and the snaps being shared.
Yeah.
Running back by committee, where it's going to be three deep in a way of Gibson getting touches.
No problem.
He's Travis Thomas. I'm George Balekji. This is Foxborough Rush. Appreciate you guys leaving us comments on the YouTube page. Also, tweet at us, #NessenChat. Email us at the chat at Nesson.com. Leave voicemails as well. Travis Thomas, George Balekji, Foxborough Rush. We'll see you guys on Wednesday at 1 p.m.